Welcome to the Occult Rejects. I got a bunch of rejects with us here today, and no Georgina Rose. Unfortunately, she decided to cancel about 20 minutes before the show. I guess she was too intimidated by the people that are on the show. She needed to vet them and blah, 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 blah. And because I said fuck twice because I was a little upset, she basically said, go fuck yourself. No. She decided not to do the show at all. So, unfortunately, sorry, everybody. I thought she'd be coming on, but she's not. I guess she's scared of the Occult Rejects. I don't know. So, we're going to kick it anyway. Fuck it. We're all here. So, we got somebody else new with us today. I was very, very excited to get this woman on. She was in the OTO with me. We did a lot of, we did 2 initiations together. We spent a lot of time together at that place with other people that we were very close to. We even did a class together there on Zoom. Did you forget about that, Judith? The sigils class?
No, I did not.
yeah, we did that. I just have to say it was like, one of the few real friends that I had in the OTO, and she was always just, a good person. So I wanted to get her on. I thought, Georgina Rose was coming on, and she had shown up at Tootie Lodge a few times. And I thought maybe Judith had met her or whatever. I just wanted to give her the chance to meet the woman. And I figured, fuck it. Let me see if I can get Judith on. And she was able to. I hit her up. It's been a while. It's been fucking years, actually.
Yeah.
You were like, yo, you just disappeared, dude. And I was like, yo, I had a weird magical experience, and the OTO was weirding me out. So I just bounced. I just didn't know what to do. But yeah, I did basically just disappear. But yeah, we got her on. And Judith, please let everybody know like what your deal is. I know you have your own channel. It's not really based on magic, but you can plug whatever you like.
I go by the loan, but Judith Swanson, and yes, I do have my own channel, and my channel is based on basically more like self-awareness, not into high magic, even though I still into it. I'm still into it, but yeah, it's the loan. It's called the loan. I guess I'll share the link later on with you, Nick.
Yeah. If you give me the link, I can put it down in the show notes for sure. Yeah, but go check out that channel, and hopefully, if things work out right, I would like to get you on more often. So
it'd be my pleasure.
Yeah. Even just bullshitting about the experiences that we've had. I mean, there's so many things we can go through. And finally, next we got the Headless Giant, my boy. What is going on, sir? How are you?
How you doing? You can find me on YouTube and everything else. It'd be interesting to get some stories out of you too. So let's see where we're going today.
All right, and then we have Eros up. Eros showed up, and I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm still
I'm really excited for this one. That's why I feel bad.
I was so excited for this, but that's all right. I'm still happy to be here with you guys. Always happy to be here with you guys. You guys are great friends. But yes, you can find me on YouTube at Erosup, and you can find me on Twitter at Eros to Ethos. I post a lot of astrological things and hermetic and Neoplatonist things. I'm coming out with a new video soon that I'm really excited about chaos versus order. And yeah, so there's going to be some Neoplatonism in there. There's going to be, Osiris, Ra, Typhon. Really excited about it. Check that out. Hopefully Thursday or Friday.
Very nice. Awesome. Yeah, definitely take a look out for that. And if you haven't listened to the other stuff that she has done on the show, I think you even have that up on your YouTube, correct?
Yes, I have some of those old presentations that I did.
Yeah, so if you want, go over to her channel and check out some of the work she's done on the Occult Rejects. Fucking bangers. They were so good. That's why I brought her on to the team. So check it out.
Thanks, Nick.
Alchemy Mondays.
Yes, that's right.
Alchemy Mondays.
And I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I think Headless said you might have been able to come on this Thursday again with us on the mailbag.
Yes.
Yeah, that was actually fun when you joined us. I had a good time. So
it was fun, yeah.
It was.
Hopefully we get some mail. Send us mail.
Right. That's what I was even saying
Podcast
before.
at gmail.com. Thank you. Yeah. Get it in there.
I've even said that before, and it's like I'm not even trying to brag, but it's like, yo, when you look at like if I was like to show the numbers of how many people listen to the show and the fact that we get no mail, it's like it's fucking weird, actually. Like I was saying to somebody else, like when I was I've said this to Jin plenty of times, like I have this obsession with like wanting to change the way Thelema is seen before I die, and I did tell him I was like, the show already has more people listening to it than these even in the fucking OTO at this point. So like when you find yourself in that position, like could it be possible to pull that off? But like it's like, come on, send us some fucking mail, man. What the fuck?
What are you guys
I'm
hiding?
to send out free stickers. I'm sending you a 70 something whatever cent stamp plus the cost of the stickers for you just to send us an email with your address, and then I'll send you some free stickers. So come on, man.
I think it's a conspiracy of all these other shows. They actually write their own emails to themselves. So this is actually the norm. Paranormal experiences are not that common. So
exactly right. I mean, or even weird dreams. Fuck. I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. I'm surprised we haven't just had bullshit sent to us, just being like, oh, I'll get some free stickers out of a bullshit story.
Well, there will be that.
Yeah, just go to ChatGPT. Just be like, I need a bullshit story for a paranormal tale for the Occult Rejects podcast. Fuck, that's now we're gonna get ChatGPT stories. Fuck. All right, I'm gonna shut up. Jen, go ahead, please.
Yo, what is up, boss? Mr. 93, the true 93. And I just want to say, so that's too bad about Georgina, but I'm actually excited to be on with all of you guys. And I have read her book, and as like someone who has journeyed the sufferer myself, I feel like I'm fully capable to talk about it, and or we'll just talk about like macabre journeys in general. And obviously, if you really are interested in like all the work that we've done on Rejects, you can listen to Matt Murrah, Joshua the Branch, and of course Solar Exile, me, do our have done the Kabbalah series. We've done all the speculative Kabbalah, hundreds of hours on the Grey Lodge, as well as my show. And my show is really a outpouring of Nick's show, not because it started because I started coming on Rejects, but it was really because Nick let me kind of train, quote unquote, as a podcaster, as an occult podcaster, and meet fucking cool people. I'm gonna say that word. I'm sorry, Nick. And so that's really, so I would consider myself like I'm part of the nebula of Rejects in like a small way, and definitely the Grey Lodge is absolutely like a little brother show to.
Oh no, I love that idea. I've wanted to say that before, but I wasn't sure how you would take that. But I do look at it as like a brother, like it's almost like an extension of the Occult Rejects.
It's absolutely an extension of Occult Rejects, the Grey Lodge, because it developed out of the idea of doing panel. Because I mean, I have my own show, so I don't like I can do whatever I want on that feed. But then to do like the thing with we're not hierarchical, we're trying that out, and I have to be the boss a little bit, but it just in more like creative decisions. And then Matt's our webmaster, and then the other two bring like so much knowledge. So it's been a really exciting, like the last 3 years, Nick, to do this with you has been like really great. And thank you so much. And you've really allowed me to meet exceptionally interesting, my favorite thing is American magicians anyways. So all the people are going to get mad at me. They're going to say, I love bombing you, but that's okay. So I just want to say thank you to Matt Murrah and Joshua the Branch, of course, who are my brothers in the Grey Lodge. I didn't know this until 2 days ago, but the Grey Lodge was actually the name of a Chaot podcast from the early 2000s that was doing aeonic work. So you were saying like how, Nick, you wanted to sort of change the nature of Thelema. Well, I think in a lot of ways, like the show that you've created, and then the shows that like I've gone and done, and then obviously like even like Headless and Eros, like they're doing their like more Hellenic stuff. And I think that it's all sort of interworking parts of like we're all doing aeonic work. We're just sort of looking at our individual sort of lenses of it. And of course, this is my thing I'm known for, is Aeon of the Daughter. So that would have never come into fruition. I think I always had the idea, but I definitely did have the idea, but I was like, it came into manifestation through the show. So that's a great work, and I owe that to you. So thank you, Nick. And if you want to check me out at Wukong Reborn, WUKONG Reborn, or at Threshold Saints on IG and Twitter. I did drop an episode with brother Greg Kaminsky from Occult of Personality. I know we just did a show with him as well on Rejects, but I did a one-on-one sort of like tantric Buddhist conversation, very discursive, very high IQ. Even I had a hard time keeping up sometimes, and it was really great. And I have a really amazing interview with the writer Joe Nally, who's also known as Pill Eater. He's kind of controversial. If you've ever seen his reels on IG, Safe Sleazy. But anyways, I have an interview with him coming out, and lots of stuff coming up. So just keep him, watch this space, I guess. Thank you so much, and appreciate all of you. And I'm really excited to meet Judith as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I was really excited to get her on. But yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate all the kind words. But you said something like the Aeon or whatever. Not to keep going on about what I was saying earlier, but what I'm trying to push the idea with the OTO, but not even so much the OTO, even in a lot of occult orders, the people that are the faces of them, they're getting old. Just keep it real. Lon Milo isn't fucking at Spring Chicken anymore. James Wasserman wasn't. He's passed away, unfortunately. They're not going to have too many big faces of some of these orders anymore eventually. The old Aeon's going to die regardless. And people are going to have to step up and start becoming a face or doing something with it if they want to. Right. So, I mean, just even like what you're saying, I mean, even that, we're talking about going from one Aeon to the next in so many ways. I'd even see like even the voices of the faces of what things can be is going to change.
Yeah, we're leaving that. Sorry, Nick.
Possibility to.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
We're leaving the institutional frame. That's what Aeon of the Daughter is. We're leaving both the Longhouse and the institutional frame. So, the sons and daughters, we get to remake it. So let's remake it in a cool fucking way.
Oh, yeah. I want to get a little bit more nerdy and sciencey about it, actually. And I like Lon Milo with his stories. It's just like my opinion. I think they're deeply occulted, but funny stories about Grandpa fucking around with magic isn't too deep. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. Not trying to shit on the guy, but I would I just think there's a lot of magic, regardless if it's the Lima, that is just kind of not looked at like too intelligently right now. I don't know. Yeah, I got to catch up with
I feel like it's out there, and what we've been doing on this show is trying to put these dots together. I mean, we talk about the psychic stuff, we talk about magic, we talk about all these different esoteric ideas, and then try and bring them together somewhat, so we can kind of make sense of the world,
That's what I was even trying to do with the herbs and the colors and stuff, is even showing that there's even legit science behind how some of this stuff works. Maybe people may not want to listen to it and believe it, but it's I hate to say it, but whatever. But yeah, there's a lot more involved. I mean, even on the show, I don't know if Judith knows these. Yeah, I even try to get into physiology, where I do even think a lot of occult symbolism and some stuff Crowley was talking about was legit inside your fucking eyeball and your brain. I actually believe that tent that we look at in Minerval, you have to say on after that. I swear it's the optic nerve. I'm telling you, that is the part of the fucking eyeball right there, Minerval. I remember James even said Minerval shows you everything, if you know what you're looking at. And I think exactly some deep shit in Minerval, believe it or not. Not to keep going on about it, but I do think actually physiology. I think Crowley was actually talking about that in some stuff. That may not be something you knew about the show or knew about me since the last time we spoke, because I don't think I was telling you shit like that when I knew you. So that's new.
We had time to contemplate a lot.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. All right. Now, Matt, sorry, I'm fucking taking over the show. Normally not this talkative.
All right, so good. I guess this one will be in flux since we don't have really a central theme. But yeah, Matt Mora, can always find me as at MattMora19. That's going to be on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, maybe some other place. And also, like Jin said, there's the Grey Lodge. We are going to do spaces this Friday. And make sure to go there on Twitter. Or you can check out the archived version, both on YouTube, the Grey Lodge, or our website, The True Grey Lodge with the V. So Truth, thetruegraylodge.com. Also my website, Kabbalah.com, KAABALAH.com. A lot of cool stuff there. Recently, I've been doing more on the side of tarot. I'm just doing some cool experiments. Actually, I shared on Twitter on my pinned profile a very nice experiment that I did.
Yeah,
and
I
I
saw that.
wanna work more on that. So if you wanna be a beta tester, just DM me and I'll hook you up in the details. So a lot of cool stuff there. Again, happy to be here. Regardless, it's always good to talk with the boys and the girls. So let's fucking go.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much, William Birkin.
Hey guys.
Whatever, I don't know whatever alter ego you're using right now.
Well, normally for topics like this, religion and esotericism, I usually go with the branch, but I realize some people may not know who I am, because on Twitter I LARP as an umbrella scientist. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for hosting, by the way, and it's nice to meet you, Judas and Eros. And if I didn't say anything else, I would just like to remind people to, be, keeping physical media, maybe archiving shows that you like this, so on and so forth. Because as we move further into this new aeon, comes with that, this digital realm as it intensifies as well, So personally, I feel like we're in like a silver age, golden age, whatever you want to call it, of the internet. We just don't realize it, So these opportunities to share space together, whether it be here or on Twitter, it's very sacred. So, just cherish it and, really appreciate it and interact with it, because it's a synthesis thing, Otherwise, you could just talk to yourself, right? So, yeah, it's special. Thank you guys for being here, and those in the chat as well. And, shout out to Threshold Saints. Also, we do spaces every Friday night, or every other Friday, perhaps. We're not really sure what kind of schedule we have yet. But and then on Wednesdays, I'm going to try to maybe start doing spaces as well. So anyway, thank you so much for hosting.
Yeah. No, of course. No, thank you. I think some people, if you don't know too, like if you want to get like a full night of occultism in, they're normally like running their show before we ever go live on a Friday if we do. So like if people haven't really listened to it, I suggest to go check it out regardless. But yeah, sometimes when I'm booking shows, I'm like, these motherfuckers got their show on Friday, man. I'll get a guest and I'm like, I really want Jin and Matt there or whoever. And I'm like, they got, I can't bitch though, that you're doing the damn thing. But yeah, definitely check out that stuff. It's really good.
But that's kind of what we said, was that by doing it like every other Friday, it opens up space for other opportunities. So like, for instance, right there would be an example, just to point it out.
But thank you for coming on, my man. And last but not least, finally, Ethan Indigo, what is going on, sir?
Peace, everyone. Always excited to share my 2 cents and learn from you guys. And I love the synthesis and that idea. I'm a writer, frequently putting together articles or ideas that kind of bring together the East and the West. And I like to explore the esoteric and the exoteric. And I'm totally an anti-institutionalist, but I love learning from veterans of whatever the institution or group might be. In fact, I'll quote Headless. He may not even remember that he said this. The military is full of people doing secret shit right next to people cleaning shit. And I thought that was the funniest.
I like that.
I thought that was the funniest juxtaposition that only someone that is a veteran would be able to enunciate. So I look forward to hearing Nick and Judith, your guys' experiences with the aforementioned group that you guys were in and met.
Listen, no, thank you. I'm really happy you made it, Ethan. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it, but sorry again that you didn't show up. But
I was looking forward to seeing her. Well, I think we all have an interest in her and her work, so that hopefully maybe
and I love planetary stuff, so I was like, "Fuck yeah!" See, look at that. We even have another author on the show. He didn't need to be vetted. This guy wrote more books than her. Fuck. Actually, would you consider yourself almost a prolific writer? I mean, you write besides books. You do write a lot too, don't you? In other areas.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Right, man.
I mean, I don't know if prolific I would,
you write enough though.
I mean, I guess it's getting to be a pile, but I don't like to. That word I think is a little bit much. But But I want to write and I want to share writing. I think it's a good endeavor as opposed to all the other things we could be doing in the world.
Yeah,
as
no,
the the world gets crazy.
yes. Yeah, but yeah, that's everybody. Thank you very much, and I guess we'll wrap it up. No. Judith, if you don't mind, were you in the service?
Yes, actually, I was.
That's
Ex
right.
Army.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Headless was in the reserves, right? The reserves or something. Like that? Yeah. Oh, you muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, 12 years.
Oh,
Nice.
you did more than me. I did 8 years active duty though.
Where did you go, if you don't mind me asking?
Overseas, I deployed to Haiti once, and then I served in Germany my last tour.
Oh shit! How was Germany?
Yeah, Germany was wonderful. I want to go back. Well, not right now, but I always want to go back. I loved it.
Nice, nice. Oh my god, I would have been in awe just of the architecture there.
Oh, the architecture, the culture,
Oof.
it was unbelievable.
Judith, have you ever been through Fort Dix?
I went through Fort Dix. Actually, when you take the when you come back, if you want to be cheap and you want to go the Army way, that's I don't know. Is it still up? Did they close the airport?
I don't know. It's been forever, but I was through there too.
Yo, this is crazy, Judith. You remember? You remember? I think probably from the OTO. I think I had to like fill out paperwork to justify why I went to prison. I think you knew I went to prison, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did federal prison time, and I did it at Fort Dix. I was literally in the barrack. I was in the prison while this man was on the other side getting trained. How the fuck does that happen?
How did we not run into each other?
He didn't see me standing on the fence. Like, oh, I wish I was standing at the fence holding it. Give me a cigarette. Yeah, fuck. That's wild shit, dude. But yeah, no, I thought when somebody said, so yeah, mentioned something about a service, and I saw you made a face, and I was like, wait, I think she was in this.
Yeah, I was.
That's gangster shit. I think I remember when you told me that. I was like, wait, what? Yeah.
And I actually try to work a lot with the veteran, as much as I can with the veteran community, because up until recently they were forgotten.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I just want to ask you a few more questions, just so you can try to get a little bit of remembrance. When you were like practicing normally, were you doing did you do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram? You did do that. You did that stuff.
You to me, that's you have to do it. It's like,
Okay, well, just making sure. I mean, I'm sure we all know people who don't, but
that's true. I made a face, but that was the wrong face. Yeah, you're right. Some people like, I don't need to do it.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's just cool that I actually have like a female on the show that actually did the same rituals that I did.
You also have to remember, I also have my background also entails being Wiccan. So it's Wiccan practice. So cleansing your space is very, very important, no matter what you do to me, no matter what path, whether you stay on this path or not.
Well, Judith, they teach the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram in a lot of formal situations inside Wicca too. So, like Jill Gardner recommended that. Yeah.
It depends on which traditions you follow.
Yeah, and you know what? It's almost like sometimes I've noticed too. It almost seems like a mix of the lesser and the greater, because like I've seen like some where the Wiccans will like call the towers, but you're not doing that until you're in the greater pentagram. You're not doing that in the lesser pentagram. You know what I'm saying? So I've even seen like there almost seems to be a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, it all depends on what tradition you train under.
That's true. Yeah.
On which way you do it. So, but in high magic, I feel the lesser banishing ritual should be automatic.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly.
But then, do what thy will.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Did you use the middle pillar?
I love the middle pillar.
Yeah,
and
I thought about actually doing that recently because it's just a meditation.
I love the middle pillar. It's I don't want to say it's a quick way of doing a chakra alignment, but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Of
But yeah, you
it,
hit 5 out of the 7. Right. You know what I really liked was the visuals that you had to like kind of create, like the stuff swirling around and swirling down you. I don't know why that. I always thought like if it started to happen, I was always like, oh my god, this is so sick.
the question is, which version do you like doing? You have the Hebrew version, and then you have the Thalamic version.
That's right. Yeah. See, I only did the Hebrew version, and then I started fucking around with an Egyptian version. I only did that a
And
few times, and then around there, I stopped fucking around with magic.
and I found each one gives me different results.
Yes, I have heard that, especially with the Thalamic one and the other
The
one.
Hebrew version.
Hebrew one, yeah.
I have a sorry guys, I have a quick follow-up for Judith. It's a personal question. If you don't want to answer, Judith, that's totally okay. But when you were Wiccan, what pantheon did you prefer? So that's question maybe A. And then question B would be we like for the Grey Lodge, we call it a middle pillar, specifically a middle pillar group. And so Solar and I interviewed Gregory Peters, who wrote the new Aeon Tantra. He was heavily involved with the Aeon of Mott workings in the 90s with Nema. And he also wrote sort of his book has a ritual, like a middle pillar ritual, and he kind of does a little tantra with a little nuit, and like I didn't really fully understand it because I don't have a ceremonial like magic background, but I think that Nick should probably get him on eventually, and yeah, let's do that. But I'm sorry, I wanted to know why you like the middle pillar, because it is like just even at face value for me, it's like even the idea is profound, rather than it's like it's not edgelord, but it's still magic, so it still has like that transgressivity of what magic is.
I think once I tell you which deity I prefer, you'd understand why I like the middle pillar. And she's not very popular actually, but the deity I love to work with is Mott, which actually falls in place because it brings everything in balance.
That's interesting because that's the Aeonic deity, sort of, if you use the Egyptian system.
Yes.
Aren't you kind of all about Mott in a sense, Jim?
Yeah.
I mapped it to a tantric goddess called Kurakula, who wields a bow and arrow, but it's very similar kind of idea. And for me, I put it on path 22, so the Lamed path, because I said the keyword, because obviously Curly didn't give a keyword. So I said that actually the keyword is not what Frater Achad said, which is Ahava, or what Nema said, which is Ipsos. I said it's Lamed Mem Delet, which you and I have talked about many times, Nick. And it's obviously love is the cause of knowledge. So love is the way to take you all the way to death. Sorry, I didn't mean to like big up myself. It just was that is sort of the Aeon of the Daughter, like in a nutshell. That's the Kabbalah that we did for the Grey Lodge, like all 4 of us.
I actually have to look into that one.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think else too. Did you ever get into the hexagram?
Me?
Yeah, you, Judith. Yes.
I haven't. I never got into that. That's usually when I stepped away a little, when I got stuck in the Malkuth, like I told you, and I had a certain. I have a strict rule: if things aren't completely correct, I can't say perfect, I don't progress. I try to fix what's going on because it's usually a sign. It's like a danger sign to me if you're not in the right mindset. So I do want to. I wanted to play with the hexagram a little, but unfortunately, life got in the way.
No, I can understand that. Nice. Yeah, I was just wondering. Did you ever do the Star Ruby?
Love the
Oh,
Star
okay. All right, that's impressive. Nice. Okay.
But that's been years. It's been years. Like I said, I've been out of it.
Yeah. Well, plus it's in fucking what, Greek, right? So for like me, I'd have to like read the whole thing. I'd probably have to go watch a video and actually see someone do it to like be able to spurt all of it out. Yeah.
I think there's document. I think there's a PDF somewhere where it breaks it all down for you.
Oh yeah, there's a few of them out there actually. Yeah, yeah, that's how I learned it too. Was through the book and the videos. But yeah, I was just wondering, because I was almost positive that you actually did ritual work. like circles.
I used to be seriously into ritual work, but I approached it as if like a scientist doing experiments.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, though. No, I know exactly what you mean. There was even times I was like, I'm going to work with this just to, I don't know, I guess try it out, right? Like, it's a sphere on the tree, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and then when you do
this, but I don't know.
And then when you do that, and you can have both, like the logic emotion thing, like two pillars, then it's fascinating, because then you have the basis, right? It's what I was talking about, the tarot experiment. I can share real quick, but like in short, I took 72 weeks of doing a tarot reading for the week, and then out of those 72, 24 I did it daily. So like I would do it on Sunday, and then I would do the week one, and then Monday the daily one, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on, so on. And then I had everything, and I was always like trying to note down the synchronicities. How would that relate to how I understand the tarot, and so on, so on. But what was fascinating is that by the end of it, the 72nd week, I got all of them into like a data thing, and then I made a dashboard to understand, okay, for example, what were the ones that I got the most? Out of the top 4, I got 4 court cards, which were the first one being when you make the mapping, would be my moon sign, my astrology moon sign. The second one, my sun sign. The third one, the element that I have the least, and it was a page. And then the other one, my ascendant, like my rising sign. When I saw that, I was, what the fuck? Because what are the odds, of all those cards, and then those being exactly the ones for my map? I even ran some math afterwards with the help of AI to understand it, and it was like 1 in 52 million or something for my chart to be my chart, and those cards to be the cards that dot out. So when you have that, it's kind of hard to say, okay, it's not connected somehow to something, right? That there is something there. And that's even, to me, that's just the cherry on the top, because when you take into account the synchronicities that happen, and I'm using tarot, but you can use any other divination tool. You can even create one. It doesn't matter. As long as it's based on the tree, then anything works. But when you notice the synchronicities, then it's crazy. Like you just see how there are many more things happening in this reality that our 5 senses cannot just catch it. You have to really think more broadly, more abstractly, and so on. And being a scientist about it definitely helps make sense of it all, at least a little bit. So, and I completely agree with what Nick and the others were talking about, how more and more like technology and so on, it will be a thing more so than, what we had past aeons. And you can see that happening like everywhere, right? Like you can see, for example, there are many things going on, many technologies going out that kind of not disprove, but make it really hard for you to be a hardcore religious, like, oh, I just believe the mythology. Because there's like literally a tool that will do the thing that the mythology was saying, oh, it's all mystical and so on. Like, bro, there's literally a tool. Like now we understand more or less how it works. Or sometimes it's like a black box, but we kind of know how it works. So it's not really, like something mystical from the outside and so on. So it's really fascinating to see. And the more, like, because I work with technology, the more you see it, the crazier it gets sometimes. So we got to step down sometimes and ground ourselves, but it's really nice.
Thank you, man. I don't know. So, Headless or Jen or whoever, I don't know if anybody got an idea of what were we saying we were going to talk about instead? Jen,
well, I think we could talk about our book.
That's fun. She didn't even have to come here. Now we're promoting it. See, that's even another thing. You hear that? I'm sure. Well, maybe not listening in anymore, but I'm sure she was listening to make sure I didn't shit all over her. Georgina Rose, if you're still listening, I mean, look, come on, Jen, even read your book. Fucking come on.
Hop in here.
Yeah, you still got the link.
I really wanted to nerd out on astrology.
Yeah, I know. That was I loved planetary magic. That was my fucking thing, and I would assign it to the Tree of Life. So I was like, oh, planetary theurgy. I got plenty of experience that myself. I was like, let's go. I was like, motherfucker, really? I don't understand that. It's like, did you watch the show before you said yes?
Well, I'll give her props in one way, is that she actually correctly recognized that the planetary names are the outermost density of the Sephira. So the planets themselves are actually klipas, which, of course, if you watch Rejects or if you watch The Grey Lodge or if you listen to my show, you know that I agree with this. So I have to say, like, I'm not like a huge fan. I barely even knew who she was before Nick told me, but I that's actually impressive in and of itself, because that is kind of a fundamental problem that a lot of people who consider themselves like magicians or pagans or anything, that's a big mistake that a lot of them make, is they think the planets themselves are these kinds of rulers, these fixed rulers of destiny. But I think astrology is a lot more, as Matt said, in flux. And I think that we are much more agential, and I think we are much more agential in our own wills. And I think that's also what the Aeon is about. The new Aeon is about recognizing that. Not necessarily that we're more like free of the demiurge or whatever cosmology you want to use, but that we can actually say in perception, like, we actually are free to choose our own destiny, and we don't have to be like, your chart is not who you are. It's just an indication of your karmas. It's not fixed. And if you need proof of that, just study Tantra, because Tantra posits an ontological solution for all astrological concerns. So there you go.
Yeah, I would say fate changes, but necessity doesn't.
I don't know. I'm still trying to think about the clip off being the planets. I mean, I do think
Well,
there's an interesting way to look at it, but like even
This-
like planetary energy. Sorry, yeah, like that would be kind of like one of the lowest forms, really, going by other things. So I mean, I guess I can see. Like I see
Well,
where
it's the
you're going.
ice.
It's not above that. You would have, you know, archangel or order of angels. So I mean, I guess it's really, I mean, it's not that. You know what I'm saying? I see where, I guess I can see where you're going with that to an extent.
Well, it's very Hebrew, right? So maybe that's why it's like it's different in a way, because the Sephira are empty. So they're much more like stars. I'm not saying they are stars, but that is how to think of them, as empty. So a planet that is composed of gravity, densities, just like a Sephira, that has ice, aggregation from the rock, all the gases, like in density.
Once there's gravity, you're fucked already.
Exactly.
Your game over. I think.
well, the
You're put
Sephira
into form.
aren't archetypes, right? They're like, but some Sephiroth, I know, like some people relate some of them to planets, but not all of them are related to a planet. And then, yeah, if you believe in the hierarchy with angels, the archangels, I mean, typically those are associated with the different planets, and it's like there's like the planetary forces, and then there's like the actual causality of how those forces play out, or the actual decisions made, or you could almost say like the algorithmic part that tips things one way or the other. Like, I feel like usually that's associated with the archangels assigned to each planet, but you know, that is like highly debated, where like some Neoplatonists believe in that concept and that hierarchy, but like the Stoics, for example, wouldn't. They don't think that like the archangels are like a necessary part of metaphysics.
I think it depends. I think that, you know, like I like Ramak, I like Rabbi Cordovero, I like even Rabbi Lurius, I like all the kind of. I'm not a Hermetic Kabbalah guy, so that is perhaps the difference. Is I'm really like I hate to shout him out again, Nick, but it's a David Heim Smith kind of thing. Like, I approach Kabbalah in a more Hebrew way, but I'm not Jewish, and I'm also like a Buddhist. So it makes more sense to me to approach it in a non-dual and non-theistic way. So I agree that the Sephira are not archetypes per se, but there are archetypes within, bundled into the conceptual ideas, just like there are colors at superficial density. And then there are inner more colors. That's how I relate to the Sephirah the most, is with colors and names, or words if you prefer. So the archangels are not the rulers of the planets in the Jewish system. They're just associated with the Sephirah. But the planets themselves have their own planetary rulers, planetary hosts, planetary god. So
yeah, there's even like was it the Olympic spirits might actually sound like that when they're described. There's other, I didn't
Yes.
even realize that there is other planetary associations that does make it sound like they're ruling over something. But yeah, the regular Hermetic Kabbalah, the way you're talking about it, doesn't. They're just like associated with it. It's almost like that person's character fits what we're trying to tell you here.
Yeah, exactly. Like if
So
you're gonna
that's
take an example of a good footballer, you're gonna say like Pelé, Ronaldo, whatever. But then you wouldn't necessarily say that they are just that. They are still like men and human and fathers and whatever. Like there are other things as well. Or there could be other people that do what they do, but in like a worse way. So they wouldn't be the best example for you to give for other people. So
Gotcha.
great
Like,
comment in the chat. Sorry, Nick, about Pico, how we found like a Christian truth inside Kabbalah. I also agree with that, to be honest. I'm not Christian, and I'm not going to be Christian, but I'm just saying that there is a aeon of, if you want to call it aeon of the sun, there's an aeon of the aeonic kind of the sun truth in Kabbalah. Like you can prove there's like a tepheratic consciousness that you can rise up to, just like the unicursal hexagram. That's really what it's referring to. And then if you have your strong enough will, you can pass through. But it takes a prepared heart, a gilded heart, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, you know what I've noticed, Judith? Yeah. I found it interesting. One time I was like looking at a document where it was showing like I think it was like NASA had a problem with their mirrors. In the telescope, the Hubble telescope. Something went off on their mirrors, and then they decided to show a diagram about how the mirrors are supposed to reflect. And it's the unicursal hexagram. I was like,
share that with me, please. I would love to.
Yeah, if I find it, I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll look for it after the show. And I was like, okay. Yeah, and Crowley didn't come up with that either, right? Yeah, he didn't actually invent that. Somebody else did.
No, wasn't that what? Didn't that come from the Golden Dawn?
No, it was prior to that. It was like 1800s, I think. The guy did it. Yeah. That's a lot of people think he came up with it. He actually did. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. I just figured I'd tell you that. This is another interesting fun fact.
I'm a type of person who, once I hear it, I have to look it up and I have to research it.
Okay. But Jen, I kind of understand a little bit where you're going with that. I mean, I could see it's a very interesting way to look at it.
I know it's a little radical.
It's a little different. No, it is. No, for sure. But
I know it's a little Gnostic, a little neo-Gnostic. I'm pushing a little bit of a, I'm pushing a little boundary.
I mean, I guess like the way I always say, like, I think once you're put into form, you're kind of screwed. I mean, it doesn't sound great for being a human, I guess, but like if I look at it that way, I guess the planet's put into form. Like it's screwed too.
Well, this is what I realized, Nick.
Farther away from God.
I mean, you're right, but I think that like why I asked Judith the middle pillar question right at the front was because this actually is all rectifiable in the middle pillar. Like you don't take extremes of like going say, oh, I'm an antibody Gnostic, or I'm a hedonist kind of Gnostic, where you're just like enjoying the earthly pleasures. You're actually like moderating yourself in your own mind. So like in Yesod, in the 9. So if you're able to do that, then you're going to be able to climb the tree a lot more easily, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I think that makes sense. But you don't want to also be like, I have a lot of Hebrew Kabbalah friends like that are Jewish, like Hasidic Jewish. And so they tend to stay at Yesodic consciousness. I'm not putting them down. They're extremely brilliant people, all physicists and mathematicians, but they tend to stay at Yesodic consciousness. When I stay at Yesodic consciousness, I get depressed. I have to be a little more dynamic than that, just for me, because everybody's a little different, right? Everybody's like has their own bullshit, their own aggregations. So for me, I have to like travel the tree a little more frequently than just like stay at Yesod and, be a receptor. So I like to actually be kind of free, if you want to call it that. So of course I'm going to push a little more of a transgressive, not transgressive necessarily, but it's definitely a more radical idea of the planets. This is true in Tantra, though, that the planets are minor archons, not greater archons. They're not, they're definitely not in control of our destiny. That's how we would think of it. But we're a very free agent. Like Tantra is a very free agency kind of idea, like religious framework. So it's not going to perfectly map onto. I know that there's the book on Hellenic Tantra, and like we can have a whole 10 shows on that. But for us, for like a more Central Asian view, you're very free. But it's all about choices, and then that is your causality. That is what makes your karma, is your choices right now, even in your mind.
I somewhat agree, because that's why Prometheus kind of stole that fire to give us that free will, and that kind of pissed Zeus off, because then we did have the free will to make our own choices, and the cosmos, the gods, no longer had full power over us.
100%. It's Prometheus Rising. Jason Giorgiani, come on. Occult Rejects and Threshold Saints.
And then imagine when that happens again, because history is cyclical with the AI agents and stuff. So we think we own them, we control them, but at some point they'll just they control themselves and do stuff themselves. And what the heck are we gonna do? We are gonna be Zeus in that case.
Oh, we're starting to lose you there, man. Ellis, you got anything? I know there's got to be something going on in the head of yours.
Yeah, I want to know, did this Hellenic Tantra come out of Hellenic Buddhism? Because there was a time period in the era after Alexandria where they actually had a fusion between Buddhist and Hellenic cultures. I didn't know if that was actually related.
It's a new book. I saw PD Newman promoting it. I've read it. I think Gregory Peters actually recommended I read it. So it's not actually, it's an interesting question what you're positing. Like, was there a Gandharvan Buddhism? I actually
It's the
think you
first
can
time
make
I've ever heard of it. So yeah, I just wondering.
No, I think you can actually make a case for a Gandharan Buddhism, like in northern Afghanistan. And like, I don't think that it was Hellenic per se, but I think it was deeply influenced by certain Hellenic ideas that were like left over in the Afghanistan kind of cultural region, the Gandhara. So I agree, actually, Headless, that I think it exists, but has there been like massive scholarship on it? No. But someone wrote a book and they basically were looking at the Mediterranean basin, and then they just called it Tantra. But I think that fundamentally misunderstands what Tantra is. Tantra is very specifically a Central Asian formations, for the very simple fact that it posits the center of the world as Kashmir. So if you understand that, you'll understand why it focuses towards that region. Like all the ideas, it says this is where it's coming from. Even if it's syncretic, it's coming from here. It's not looking at Greece and saying, oh, this is where it comes from. But there's absolutely like a Mahayana tradition, like Nick's showing right now, Greco-Buddhism right there.
Yeah.
So
I just thought I'd throw that up there.
I had a question, because I guess if you're coming from it as the planets are archons, then does that make you anti-order? I mean, does that make you anti-mat?
No, because I position it on the path. This is for me. Eros is I always positioned it on the paths. So by saying that, I'm saying you have to bring it into materialization. You have to bring it into pragmatism. You have to bring it into the real world. You can't just exist in like the greater aeonic concepts. Like look at Crowley. I'm not putting it down. Like I've come a long way in my evolution of like understanding of Thelemic ideas and Crowley and all of that. But I think that it's important that the aeon arises, because the aeon, first of all, rises in your own mind, not some sky fairy. But number two, that I think it's important that it arises on the paths, because we are of the paths. So the aeon should walk with us, or we should walk, however you want to phrase that. We should walk with the aeon rather than, it's not just like a celestial being, but of course it can also be, right? I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that we should like make it of a reality. So like if her themes are like justice, balance, fairness, like all of these kinds of things, those then are the aeonic ideals. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, but I'm very pro Mont, obviously, but I would say I'm anti-archonic. So maybe a syncretic Gnostic in a way.
I come from the belief that it's just best to align to the cosmic order. But I love hearing other people's thoughts on it.
Gina, you into a lot of planetary stuff?
So I obviously
No, what's planetary theurgy? So I figured I'd just ask.
No, it's a great question because I think there's so much to be learned from, like, obviously when we've done shows on it in the past, I've talked about like my early experiences of being like 13, 14, reading Agrippa or reading the Greater and Lesser Keys, and how I would play with all the planetary seals, like obviously from a more chaos sort of perspective of like, let's figure out how to like like reformulate the technology so I don't have to, like, as we used to call it, dress up in LARP. And so I always was interested in the planetary thing. So I think that actually laid the groundwork for me to have later Sephirotic experiences. But I don't necessarily think that doing the planetary magic was like, if I could go back and change it, I would have actually told my younger self to study Kabbalah, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, wish I studied it earlier.
Yeah. Rather than do planetary magic, because planetary magic's actually, it's the first principle sort of, but it's also sort of complicated, and it's about, like, you and I have talked about this so many times, like desire is not the same as will. And when you're like 17, you do things out of desire that you think is your will. And I wish I just would have been more grown up in my personal appraisal of it. So it's not like I dislike planetary magic, but I just think I got lost in it. So people can do as they will, as Gio said so brilliantly. Like, that is kind of my theme too. Like, do as I will. But just in my perspective, I just wish I could have like gone back and like shaken myself and been like, you need to figure out what your will actually is, and it's not the same as like your desire.
Oh, you're muted, Judith. If you were trying to say anything, I don't know.
I said that is very true. People mistake their will for their wants.
Yeah.
And that's where we tend to misstep when dealing with iron magic.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sure.
Free will is what brings suffering to some extent.
Hellas, were you into planetary stuff?
No, not really.
Okay, all right. You're into theurgy?
Well, different forms of meditation, yeah, hypnosis and that kind of stuff. So
Nice. I don't know. I was just wondering if I could get you in on some planetary shit. But
certainly can write a guided meditation using hypnosis and all of the imagery from planetary stuff to kind of imbue a little bit of that energy. I think it changes a perspective, right? When you're bringing different planetary energies into your life, it automatically has a shift in perception that goes along with it. So once you start to identify that, you can better understand maybe a better path to go down. But there's lots of different affects that go along with sort of extended periods of meditation or magical practice.
yeah, even the even like I was even saying, like even colors and stuff, they make a difference. Like I noticed how on that thing that I was covering, the colors, that like some of them, like even when I was going over like kind of like how they're looked at in science, I was like, this almost kind of matches how the color is looked at, like if you threw it on a Sephiroth, or like what is matched with planetary. I was like, it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a thing that just was cross culture.
Oh, absolutely. All these different societies would have this huge like cabinet of references that they would plug into all the different planets, all the different this was how they made associations in the world. It was all through observing these similarities and then classifying them using that kind of observational method. And that's how they got to know the spirits. Is a very superficial process, but getting to know the spirits in the meantime. So it's the outer and the inner life of everything. Sort of, it's kind of an energetic flavor.
Yeah, it's like intuitive dialectic. And then if you really get alchemical with it, then it can almost feel like even prima materia, it's all astrological. It's all metaphysics is kind of tied to the 12 and to the 4 and to the 3 and
Something I just learned recently through the Occult Rejects. Nick, forgive me. What is his last name? Jamie. That
Jamie
was on with.
Paulin? Yeah, Jamie Paulin.
He shared a word that I have never heard before, but it really leads, I think, to me at least, a fuller understanding of magic. Synthemata. Is that right? Am I saying it correctly? Do you remember him using that word?
They say sympathia sometimes, like the Platonists or Neoplatonists.
That's what he said. Yeah, Eros is right. Sympathia.
Cosmic.
Forgive my flub. Thank you, Eros. I just thought that was such a great way to understand the coordination and the relationships and bringing together all these things that are in alignment with the pursuit of the whatever magic you're putting forth, right? That was just a great word, and I couldn't remember. Maybe it was synthemata here, but it could have been something different.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right?
That's the Greek version, and she was using the Latin version.
Yeah,
I actually might have that open in my Timaeus right now.
That really helped me understand some things that I've been intuitively pursuing, but he put it in that concrete term that really, made it a stream of sensible approach.
That was 3 synchronicities.
Actually, the video that I'm putting out, I'm starting it out by explaining sympathia and cosmic order, because it seems like you have to in order to then contrast it with chaos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the ideal forms and base pieces of matter, so like the 4 elements, and then obviously the 3, the sulfur, mercury, and help me out, Headless.
Salt.
Thank you. Yes, or those also correspond to the soul, spirit, and body. And so it's just like, basically these these base parts. So then this idea almost like everything is happening at once. It's just unfolding into form.
3-body problem. That's what we call in Buddhism, Trikaya. Yep. 3-body problem. All things are always happening at one time, but you perceive them in the 3 worlds.
Yeah. Well,
we're non-dual, right? So we have a totally different ontological ideas of the world. But I just wanted to go back to that thing that you were asking a little bit before, and I wondered if you were familiar with a Gnostic figure called Nuria, and she's a prominent character in the Epinoia of Nuria. And so in the way that I sort of formulated, with obviously not just me, but in the Grey Lodge that we did it, is that we said that the Aeon could also be compared to this Gnostic Aeon. And so she actually is kind of God's daughter, but that's not really the story. But the idea is that she actually burns the arcs of the archons down. And one of the important stories in her gospel is that the angels who are of the lesser, they're considered lesser angels, but in the Gnostic cosmology, they're actually higher angels. So they tell her that everything that the archons tell you is a lie because it's just in your mind. It's just like delusions. And so the way to cut through the bullshit is to just say, everything that is not at that sort of place of pristine awareness, or like Rigpa or Diamond Thunder, or however you want to describe it, sort of like that prime consciousness, the fifth, the space, you could say, Akasha. If it's not there, then it's archonic. So it's not, I'm not like, I don't posit it as like order v chaos. I think it's an interplay, and I think it's like a synthesis as well as a rectification. And I think that we should always, this is just my idea as a Kabbalist. This is not, I'm not teaching anyone or saying that my idea is the best. I don't think that. But I think that when we're in the tree, we should always try and be dynamic and at both Tiferet and Yesod. And it should be like like you said, like a dialectical relationship between those two things. The higher and the lower consciousness, the waking and the sleeping mind.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Now I'm gonna start asking.
I just think it's kind of interesting how we're approaching the same sort of consciousness problem on so many different levels, and that's like, it's representative of occultism, I think. So you've got the standard scientist, which, you know, he knows how to push one button on the elevator, right? He knows how to get to that floor and how to do his thing. But then you've got the occult scientist who's always pushing all of the buttons in the elevator just to find out what each one of them does along the way. And I think that's sort of emblematic of what a lot of the Kabbalah stuff really is. It's bringing all that stuff together into one synthesis.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because it's like, I think there is this big theme in the occult of order versus, you know, I would say chaos, I guess, where it's like, to me, if you take away the you know, the order, which I associate with the good, then the cosmos falls apart. But, you know, I do see a lot of these themes in magic where that is that idea where it's like, you know, your subconscious is made up of all of these patterns, because we can't help but, you know, do dialectic and have pattern recognition and notice these different archetypal forces and stuff. You know, some people are probably closer to it than others, where they're like, oh yeah, that's so mercurial, or that's so Jupiterian. But like I notice in Thelema a lot, right? The idea is to like break up those patterns. So like you might do these rituals where it's like almost purposefully confusing your connection to these patterns, and it like causes this like disruption in your subconscious that can do all sorts of things. Like it can be psych fragmenting, honestly. But his idea was like you either awaken from that and rebuild it, I guess, on your own, or you go insane. But I guess he did have like this argument also that insanity is necessary to cross the abyss. So
It is.
I think you stare right at it.
Mm-hmm.
Or so you even think like this is insane.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying now, Eros, like in the latter part of your comment, I totally agree with. I don't think that the order is inherently good. I don't think chaos is inherently evil. I take a very non-dual view. So I know this is very different. I know this is much more Buddhist, more tantric. I get that. I'm not saying my view is the right way. I'm just saying for my system, this is the right way. So for me, I take it as a middle path, like not extreme right hand, not extreme left hand. But I might draw from those ideas, like you were saying. Chaos magic really emphasizes the idea of breaking conceptual thinking. Buddhism really emphasizes this idea of breaking conceptual thinking. Kabbalah at the more non-dual layer really emphasizes the idea of breaking klippas, something Matt loves to say. Because we have to break klippas, because they veil our true understanding, our true awareness of what something really is, maybe even call it its true name. So it's not that we are out to be transgressive, or we're not out to inherently like prop up the status quo either. It's a little bit of both. It has a little bit of a rebellious spirit, but I think that I don't know, Judith can totally disagree with me and say like, oh yeah, Jin saying something naughty. That's okay. I'll take it. But I think it's a little bit of a rebel spirit. That is how I understand the Aeon, but I am totally open to like pushback or people's other ideas. I'm not fixed. And this is the other thing, is I try not to be fixed in my particular way that I frame everything. I try and have different frameworks when I talk to different people. So like I'll have a Gnostic framework, I'll have a Buddhist framework, I'll have a whatever. Or the Egyptian one. I think that's all okay, because I think that there are different ways that people understand the conceptual ideas for themselves. They don't have to think that I'm the, arbiter of it. They can just take it in their own way and, use first principles like Kevis was talking about. That's what Kabbalah is. It's about mapping reality onto the tree and then unpacking it, unfolding it, and folding it in like a flower. I don't know. Just an idea.
You gave me a really terrible idea. So what do you guys think about doing a golden ass Kabbalah? Just like a full commentary breaking down the golden ass in the Kabbalah. I think that would be amazing.
This guy loves
Jesus
this.
all about it.
Oh, you can do it.
All right. Fuck it.
Jen, Jen,
Listen,
There you go.
I wanted to address.
He'll be
Jen's-
back.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes this shit drops out. So,
I had a quick thing I wanted to add onto the idea of ascension or insanity. The
Yes.
Tibetan Buddhists put forth the idea that life is a tube, and you're either going up or going down, and staying still doesn't make much sense at all, right? But I just wanted to say that. Judith, what were you going to say?
No, actually, you hit on what I wanted to tell Jen, because I do agree with Jen's aspect, because if you're looking at the Kabbalah, you're not meant to stay in one place. You're meant to have that movement. The whole point, in my view, in my opinion, is to not get stagnant and get stuck in one place. So I agree 100% with what Jen was saying. And you actually supported that, Ethan.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
yeah,
much,
just-
Judith. Sorry, Matt.
No, sorry. Yeah, just again, look in nature, right? Nature never stays the same. Everything changes all the time, and things live and die and change and transform and so on. So, like breaking the cliffs, right? That can be the butterfly, or the caterpillar that breaks itself to become the butterfly, right? So everything is again constantly changing and removing, and if it doesn't break that cliff, it stays as a caterpillar forever. So it's just about reinventing and changing, and again, seasons change, people change, but they kind of stay the same at the same time. So it's this constant, just the Hebrews will call the tzimtzum, right? The movement, contraction, expansion, and so on. So even the chaos and the order, like you need first, so there's nothing. You need a chaos to kind of move things around, and you order them to make sense of it. Otherwise, you just have too much chaos, and you cannot understand anything. But then you bring chaos again to have nothing, to then, and so on. And it's like back and forth, path of the light, flaming sword and the serpent, right? Going up and down and so on.
Brilliant. That's why I love
Nature-
math. Thank you, Matt.
Nature does have these natural laws, though, and if we didn't have those
Right.
laws, I think to the Egyptians.
May I speak?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I guess, I think to the Egyptians they had this feeling like chaos was something that you always had to fight back against, and you could even think of like Zeus killing the chaos serpent,
Typhoon.
huh?
Oh, just said typhoon.
Yes. Like some people believe that Typhon was Gaia's, child that was supposed to try to defeat the Olympians, Gaia's like last chance at kind of fighting them for imprisoning her children. So it's just like this primal part of nature that's always going to be there. Just like man, is the master of nature and has to fight the beasts back and has to fight the weeds back. It's kind of like that concept. Like chaos is always going to be there.
I would just follow up, Eros, by asking you like a fundamental Kabbalah question. Like, how do you personally reconcile the paradox of the relationship between Gevra and Hesed? If you're at, or even just you could say the right and the left pillar, because those also work in Zimzum, as Matt said. Like, those are the two Sephira that fundamentally have the strongest dialectical relationship with each other, fire and water. So they have to be reconciled. And they have to be reconciled in the middle pillar. How do you do that? I'm not putting you on the spot or anything. This is just a Kabbalah paradox. We often discuss it. And it's a really fundamental way to sort of understand how the tree works. It's like Matt said, it's Simsum. It's the zipping and unzipping. It's the breaking of the klipas of your own conceptual understanding of things, because the person that I'll just speak for myself. The person that I was at 2 years old is not the person I am at 37. So my own life, my own marga has unfolded in a way that I have gained, at least I think I've gained, in perceptual understanding of the universe, or knowledge even. Maybe a little bit, just maybe a little bit, but a little bit. So I have to recognize that not the way when you walk through the gateway of Malkuth, first time onto Yesod, you are childlike and you don't know even the names of things. You are like fully lost in the abyss experience, as Nick mentioned. You don't know. You're for the first time. It's like the example is like you are a virgin or a bride. So you just call things by what you think that they are, or relate to them as you believe that they are. But as you sort of cross I would call it the carnal ground or the abyss, as you cross those experiences, you actually gain in knowledge, and you realize like, oh, I actually was wrong about the way I perceived these things at first. So you change. So that is what I'm talking about. It's not really this dialectical arrangement between order and chaos. It's really about matter and spirit. That's more Hebrew Kabbalah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's different. I'm just saying that that's my perspective on that. The tree is best understood in dialectical relationship, but all the Sephira work in dialectical relationship. Hesed has a dialectical relationship with Binah. Mercy has a dialectical relationship with understanding. You cannot understand text. That's essentially what Binah is. It's the black ink on the white page, on the white vellum. You can call it the Torah, which obviously is the law, but you can just extend that to mean any text, any canonical text. You have to bring that into loving kindness. That is the only way to understand that. You can't take it as literal. You're supposed to take it as part of the realm of ideas, interpretive, and then you kind of relate it to the things that we know, which is Hod, which are the words that we have, the analogical sort of devices, thinking that we use to describe the universe. That's all imperfect. This is just a Kabbalistic thing. I'm not saying that your understanding is imperfect. I'm saying that from a more Hebrew or David Haim Smith, who I'm a big fan of, obviously, that's how I would say.
You get in touch with that guy?
Yes, I am actually.
Yeah. I felt so bad. Like, guy hit me up on like every fucking platform possible. I hadn't checked my DMs for like a few days. Or no, I didn't check like my inbox because I wasn't following him, so it didn't show up in my regular inbox. Yeah, the guy was looking for you for a minute, and he went to Ike it. That's how he got your contact. He asked Ike or some shit. Yeah, I felt bad. I dropped the ball on you there, but I mean, you got in touch with him anyway.
No, you didn't, Nick. It was because of me coming on the show that he even noticed who the fuck I was, and was like, "Oh, actually, Jin's talking about Kabbalah in a very similar way." But that's because, and I didn't even hadn't read his books until probably 2 or 3 years ago. And it was because I'm Buddhist, because he started out as Buddhist, and then I approached Hebrew Kabbalah after. So that's really like where that's our similarity, is that we kind of were non-dual, and then we kind of were like, okay, let's look at Hebrew Kabbalah in a non-dual way.
Yeah, remember
So
I told
thank you, Nick.
I thought he was fake. I was like, yo, this isn't real. This isn't a real account.
That's a hell of a thing to impersonate. It's just like some random author. I would
Yeah.
pretend that guy.
No, you know what the thing was is that the account he messaged me from like had like nothing on it, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And so like I typed his name in, and he popped up on like other social media apps, and I click on it, and it brings me to an actual real account. And I'm like, wait, so it's like this someone scamming fucking Jen or some shit, or like trolling him or something. I wasn't sure because it was weird. It almost looks like that guy made that Instagram account just to message me. It was really weird.
Exactly.
So I wasn't taking it. I wasn't too sure of how true it was, but I mean, then he already said, forget about it. I already spoke to Ike. And I'm like, well, if he spoke to Ike, obviously he's playing real. Unless he's making that up. I don't know.
No, he's a very, to me, he's the best Kabbalist of like the 21st century, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. That's how I feel. I think his book, I think everybody who's listening, if you want a really great book and you don't want to buy Georgina Rose's book, go read Blazing Dew of Stars. I think you'll learn so much about it. He talks about free agency, free will. He talks about how you can relate the Sefer Yetzirah to the outer three, which I did obviously with Nick 3 years ago, and also we did in the Kabbalah series that we did. So he's talking about all the questions, all the important questions in modern magic, as well as a more traditional appraisal of Kabbalah from the middle path. And I think that that's what my attraction to his style is that, again, to like bring up what exactly, like it was such a perfect way for Judith to open the show, like the middle pillar. Like that's essentially what life is. And we walk the paths through the Sephira. We try and get to the Godhead, which props to Georgina Rose. Like that's what she said. She was saying it's a Septonatos, like a 7-star game. You kind of walk up from Malkuth or Yesod, depending on how you count, and you sort of want to go all the way up to Keter. But Keter is also Malkuth. So the fundamental paradox is, how do you reconcile that?
You know, something I like doing when we are talking about words is going to the semantics of it, and I think it helps a lot with understanding more points of view. So, for example, if we go with chaos and we go to the Greek etymology, they go to a more like the void or the something like open, being open or something like that. And then you connect this to, for example, like Eros was saying, yes, we do have order. For example, if I jump, I'm in an apartment. If I jump, I will fall down. There's some kind of order here. But if we go to if we zoom into stuff, we get into a realm that there is no exact order as it has here, but it has a different order. Like if we go to quantum stuff and so on, it's like a different thing going on. We cannot assume the same programming, let's say, the same software running. So it's interesting that it's almost as if we read from the root, it's being an abyss even, or a void, like the chaos being a void, an abyss is again the thing that leaves space for the order to come. So then I think, well, both are necessary in this case. So we need to control both, and like I was saying, we need both, like the Chokhmah, the Binah, we need both making the connection there, or even the both pillars, because otherwise you have too much of one, you cannot have anything. If you have too much order, then you don't move. It's like you guys were talking about Germany, right? Like it's like Europe right now. They cannot move. They are stuck because they are too orderly. They are too rigid. It cannot go away. But if you have too much chaos, on the other hand, maybe like US would be a good example. That could be a problem as well. Like you have too much chaos, you cannot control it. You end up doing crazy shit, and again, you don't know where it goes. So always the balance, always the middle pillar.
Yeah.
I always love to contribute to the chaos.
I know.
I think too, that is a good point, because it's like defining chaos isn't the easiest thing to do. I almost feel like there could be two types of chaos, right? Like the primordial chaos is just like, yeah, potentiality. But I think that's more Uranian, whereas there's the Typhonian chaos, which is chthonic, and it fragments and it dissolves. Basically, it destroys.
What if I
Um,
told you, Eris, that both of those things are the same? That you can reconcile both of those ideas and say, like what Kenneth Grant said, that we are in the tunnels of Set, we are in the roots of the tree. But what is the tunnel? The tunnel is just the outer sort of formation of reality. And really, we have all this space, as Matt said, we have all this potentiality in space. That's how Buddhism would describe even the female principle, or like the Nuit. She's free in space. We don't call her Nuit. Obviously, we call them sky witches or sky dancers or dakinis, but it's a similar. It's a similar idea, or the Babylon, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's that's what it is. It's like she exists there in non-dual wisdom, but she's free in space, and so we have to sort of navigate our movement through space, just like we navigate our movement through the tree to that space that doesn't really exist, which is Malkuth to Keter. That doesn't really exist, but we perceive it perceptually as like being disconnected, as a disconnection between, like, some people say it's like heart and mind, some people say it's like spirit and body, some people will say it's like HGA and like our material body, like all these different ways, or the Godhead, or the outside of form. Because a lot of Buddhism is like very obsessed with like the fourth density, like the getting up, like you're not coming back into cause. So there's a lot of people who don't want to come back. So that's part of like escape from samsara, escape from the black cube. So yeah, you're right. There's all these different ideas of how to describe it. But I do think that the sort of female, the Shakti principle, or that Nuit figure, I think she can be reconciled in both. She's both chthonic and like void-like or spatial.
well,
That's
I
how I would
guess
understand.
I would see one as more progressive and aligned to universal law. That's like a type of differentiation that could be seen as chaotic, but really it aligns to the laws, and it's progressive, whereas like it creates new things based on those universal laws, whereas the other is like it just destroys and entropies.
I mean, I believe in karma very strongly. Like, I think we're governed by like a cosmic principle of karma. I'm not talking about like Vedic or Vedantic karma. I'm talking about obviously Buddhist karma, which is predicated on ideas of like rebirth and free will, both. But yeah, it's like exactly what sorry, Ethan. It's exactly what Ethan said. It's like that's how Buddhism posits us. We are like fish traveling up the ocean of stars. We are like swimming in the cosmic body of Nuit, swimming upstream, you could say, in this like endless cycle, like a spiral. And so like we kind of, yeah, like there's both. It's both the formation of primordial destruction, and then also the one that's more ordered by the universe. But that's, again, I would say it's all fundamentally in your own mind as well. Like these are outer principles, like observational principles, but like Matt said, like nature doesn't stay the same. It is decay and generation at the same time. And so for me, like the Aeon of the Daughter or Aeon of Mot, I'm very comfortable using either frame, because I think for me it means the same thing. So I think it's an Aeon of generation, but we also live on the carnal ground. Like if you want to be truly non-dual, you recognize that the world is like, yeah, it's a garden, it's beautiful at times, and then it's also a carnal ground at the same time, because everything that is alive has to die. That's just part of the cosmic formulation. So it's like a rose. It's like a rose is such a perfect example, right? Because roses do really well with what? Blood meal and bone meal, and sometimes fish meal too. So that is like the kind of like thing. Like you just don't want to be. I just don't like to stay fixed. This is just for me. But I don't like to stay fixed on like one. I'm not like I'm pro generation, because generation also implies decay in eventuality. It's like there's like a thing, but it's not like I'm inherently trying to degenerate like anything or myself. I'm actually trying to like just be progressive. And I actually even think that's what the Aeon of Mot is. And if you look at like the Buddhist goddess that I tied it to, she holds the bow and arrow. but she wields a flower. So it's a blue flower. So she's a red or pink goddess, and she has a blue flower at the end of her bow. You could tie that. There's an interesting way to tie that to Hesed. So you could say that her body is like coming through the heatless flame of Gevra, but her weapon, quote unquote, is tied to loving kindness. So it's like tied to the progressive idea, I'm not saying political, but progressive idea of like, how do we relate to each other? How do we treat each other? How do we understand our relationality in the cosmos? I don't know. These are just greater like ideas that we've been all working through. And as I said, like, I don't think I have the answers. This is just totally speculative Kabbalah. I'm just positing ideas, having a discourse. I'm not, do as thou will, believe as thou will.
Eros, have you heard of chaos theory before? The mathematical thing?
Yes.
So I think that's a really, like, it connects to what you're saying in the way that they see something that appears random, but there is like some underlying order, right? There is some underlying thing creating, and we can understand that maybe as the Kether, right? Like there's the Kether, the middle pillar, that creates the Chokhmah, that creates the Uranian energy that you were talking about, which then again gets ordered in Bina, right? But there's no, like, when it's the pure chaos, let's say, when it's the uncontrolled one, if you want to connect to the Tarot, for example, that could be the devil, the typhoon that you mentioned. It's like the Set, the dragon, the one, again, creating. Here is Pan, the god Pan. So it's the one that's going to destroy. It's like the serpent going up. It has its own, like, it has a need, but it has to be controlled, right? Like, you cannot just destroy it, everything. For example, someone will say, I want to have a Kundalini experience, whatever. Okay, you can have it. But then afterwards, what are you going to do? Like, let's say I'm
It's like more of
talking to a
you
friend.
need more of a Leo than an Aries.
Yeah, it's like, let's say if I'm talking with a Christian friend and then I destroy the normie idea of Christianity that he has. Like, I'm fucking this guy. Like, his life is over, let's say, because his life is built on top of that order that he was created in like a Christian, let's say, country by Christian parents and whatever. And then I come to him and say, no, man, this and that and that and that is bullshit. Like, it's actually some other thing. If I don't teach him how to rebuild, again, if I just destroy, I completely agree with you. Then he's fucked. Like that's not cool at all. It's gonna F him. But at night, maybe like we were talking about the Iranian one, I guess it would be more connected to like the star, which in this deck is like Pandora. So Pandora's box, right? The chaos that actually, it's almost as if Zeus is like, okay, guys, now you get the power that Prometheus gave you, but you get to create bad things as well. It's like, not only good things, come on. Now you can create stuff, but you can create some bad stuff as well. And then Pandora is doing the shady work. But it's cool because the star comes after the tower, which is, again, you just destroyed the sandcastle. You destroyed everything that doesn't matter, you don't need it anymore, and so on. And then now you plant new stuff. It's like, again, the Star of Hope and so on. So it's, again, the chaos being the starting point from which you organize. It's if you take any example, right? If you want to cook, it's going to be a chaotic thing. Everything is going to be around, and so on. You got to organize it into food. If you want to be a good electrician, you got to organize everything for the electric thing to be built, or the house. And again, you have to grab that chaotic thing, all those materials, and alchemize them into something nice. So it's always maybe from where you start, it's going to be more chaotic. Yeah, especially if you don't know, right? Again, the Chokhmah, you understand, you not understand, you are aware it exists, but you don't understand it. So again, it's chaotic. You got to make sense of it. Got to bring it to Binah.
Ethan, do you remember
Yes.
watching the video about the plane of inertia on Trialogues?
The plane of inertia. No, remind me.
The Ken Wheeler clip where he's talking about the plane of inertia, how everything sort of exists inside of this thing. It's got the figure 8 in the middle.
Oh, right.
Talking about 108
Of course.
fits
Yes.
inside of it.
Yes.
How much of what they're talking about sort of fits into that model?
Well, that's a great example, and I was thinking about with the idea of the two pillars. I'm just so innocent, maybe, I don't know, but whenever there's this idea of middle path or right path or left pillar, whatever, I mean, I just am astonished when anyone says right or left-handed, because the pursuit of balance is so ingrained into me by way of the middle path in Buddhism and the whole balance in Tai Chi and Mat, of course, too. So I think of the pillars as being potential actions or potential being, right? We have the potential for severity or the potential for mercy. My Tai Chi teacher put it really well. There's the potential for flexibility, and there's the potential for rigidity. In flexibility, there is still the potential for rigidity. In rigidity, there's not the potential for flexibility. So sometimes it might be actually performance useful to be in one or the other left-handed or right-handed pillars for the circumstances and situations, but often I feel like the middle path is where we want to be. And that depiction had the straight line within it is as the center line intersecting with the center point, and that's really where our physical and psychic power is most potentiated, is when we're balanced, right? So I always think about just pursuing the middle path, and then I have the ability to be to understand both poles.
Well, spin creates poles and balance. Spin, right? And so the idea of spin, when it comes to the fundamental nature of the universe, as well as these higher topics, is never usually brought up. But spin creates that dipolarity of on one side it's moving in one direction, and on the other it's moving in a completely different direction based off of your perception of the thing. So spin at the very core starts to create weird geometries, and that's like one of the fundamental principles, which is the torus, right? Like this torus energy field. Whenever you're talking about spin within the toroid, you've got the figure 8 of this constant motion being pulled through the middle, right? The middle pillar being the result of spin.
That's interesting. When we're talking about the middle pillar ritual, you are picturing a spiral coming down yourself as well. And stuff going out, looking around you, making an X, and then down the middle pillar of you is the spiral. I think that's why, like, even that spiral sometimes that you see like drawn on walls and shit, sometimes I do think it's representing that. It's not always like
so in Tai Chi, we conceptualize centripetal and centrifugal forces emitting and coming to our center. Same kind of idea.
I love that you said that, Ethan. I thought that was really good. And that was a great point, Nick, about I think it's a universal thing. Like, I don't think it's specific to me or specific to anyone, like Ethan is saying. Like, I think that, like, you could look at Taoism as a very, like, more on the side of chaos, because they often, like, they sort of give homage, I would say, to primordial chaos often in Zhuangzi. So I think it depends.
They allow chaos to unfold and work with it in the Wu Wei idea, right? So not to interrupt you.
No, that's a great, because like Taoism is Wu Wei and Ziren. So it's spontaneity and like allowing exactly what Ethan said. I'm just using the Mandarin words, whatever. It's exactly that. It's just like letting it unfold like a flower. Like that is the universal, you could say that is the universal metaphor for the universe, right? Is the flower. Like whether it's a lotus and upala, okay, spinning swastika, absolutely. Like this is a very tantric thing. Like you see a lot of the primordial chaos goddess, she wields a swastika sometimes, but it's like the spinning motion of the universe. And like which way does it spin? Well, we would say it spins non-dually. We would say it doesn't spin left or right. We would say it spins in our perception, so we get to choose. That's how I think of it. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just, when we also say stars over planets, but we don't worship stars either. So I just want to point that out, is like we're not so fixed in the 7 luminaries, because we also have a 9 luminary system, especially in Tantra and in Jyotish in general. So we use the 9 planets, and they are 9 planets. Like people misunderstand this, but Rahu and Ketu are planets. They may not physically exist, but they are there. and they have to be understood to be there. And of course, like even when David Rankin came on, him and I spoke a little bit about this. I asked him like straight up, I was like, David, how do you reconcile the outer three with Rahu Ketu? He was like, how do you? And I said, okay, well, Ketu for Neptune, Uranus for Rahu, and Pluto is like a way out, just like Dath is a way out for everybody, pretty much. They all think that. So if you map Pluto to Dath, not everybody does, right? Like I think Uranus, and I've said this, like Uranus and Pluto can switch. So I think like they can switch the sort of, if you want to call the planets the klipas, they can switch. But I think that because I think it's not fixed either. I think the tree, like Matt talks a lot about this, the tree is ever evolving, it's ever unfolding, ever expanding. So it's just like it's not about like, oh, I'm going to preface this thing, because ideas can be wrong, institutions can be wrong. So do you not challenge them? I'm not asking you, I'm just saying in general. Like Nick was talking about like changing Tolima. You can't change Tolima if you're on the side of total order, because then you're like Judge Dredd and you're just supporting the sort of pillars of how you think reality is. But if you're challenging something, you're pushing it kind of against what you think it can be, or you're trying to transform it into what you think it can be.
You brought up earlier the 3-body problem too, and I just wanted to throw that out there too, because I know I talked about this a little bit in the Hercules video, but you know, when you have a 2-body system like the sun and the earth, like the math checks out. Like it's very harmonious. It is a simple system, but throwing the moon in there, that created the first 3-body problem. And with Rahu and Ketu being the nodes of the moon, right? The moon is what really introduced that chaos into that system, and it's just kind of funny how it works like that, because then you have Rahu Ketu, which is the chaos serpent, right? Typhon, and also that being associated to the north and south node, right, where we have the eclipses, which Typhon is also associated with. I won't get too deep into that, but because I guess like I would make the argument again that I don't think that the North Node and South Node are necessarily like Uranus and Neptune, but they are so similar. I really do understand, because one is like that white hole, and the other is like a black hole almost. And right, Neptune dissolves, and Uranus is like that pushing us forward principle. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting thing to think about for sure.
I think you're right, though, Eros. Sorry, Headless. Just let me say this one thing, and then I'll shut up for a long time. Eros, you're right. Actually, it's not exactly the same, because you have to think of it like what Matt said: the path of the dragon. You have to think that he is a gentle being who climbs up to Kether on his own. Then he fully manifests as Uranus. Then he fully manifests as Neptune. He doesn't start off there. In fact, you could say that his favored position is to be at Gevra and at Shani, or Saturn, or Binah, because he loves matter and he also loves the destruction of matter. He's very dualistic, is how we would understand. This is just strictly tantric, but that's how we would understand him. So the Uranian impulse, you could say, I know other magicians have called it that. That is to take us outside of matter, like Matt was saying. It's like that relationship between Keter and Hokmah, between like all that is, or all the unity, and like the unmanifest wisdom, the cloudy, smoky thing. Because like a Ketu, his tail is always described as smoke. So very similar thing.
I have a question I've been too embarrassed to ask. So
go for it.
When they say it's 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south, I have no idea where that is on the ecliptic. I don't know what I'm picturing. So Rahu and Ketu is like these two different points. Is that on the chart itself, or is that actually in the sky? Could you map that out to the stars themselves?
I mean, let's just pull up a picture of the north and south node, I suppose.
Yeah,
Do you have one?
I don't.
I'll pull one up.
Oh, for people who are listening, and probably after this, we might have to wrap it up. I did get a confirmation. At least the 9 o'clock guest is coming on. So we do have a Friday RC at 9 o'clock. I'm not expecting anybody here to be showing up for that. Maybe if
I'm coming to that.
Okay, I also got Jules coming on. Jules is definitely coming on for that. I put it at 9 o'clock so he could, because I know he's really big into the Nokia magic. And just to throw it out there, this guy has his own podcast too, and I was kind of telling him my situation, and I guess I'm not the only one that has happened to. He's not too happy about her either.
Oof.
She's very high strung. You can tell. I could tell just watching her videos. It's like she's very tense. She needs to come back down. Come back down to Malkuth, Georgina. You don't have to live at, you don't have to live in Hokmar all the time.
How do I make this go on the screen?
Oh, I got you. I'm sorry.
I don't know how to do it.
There you go.
Oh no, my email. No, don't look at that.
I got a good impression. So
Okay, it should be good.
You're funny.
Okay, so they're not actual like parts of the sky. It's just where that the moon's elliptical and the Earth's elliptical around the sun, like where they meet.
where they meet, got it.
Shadow planets, Headless. That's how he's even thought of, like very subtle body. I mean, Rahu's a physical body, you could say, but it's like he's the onyx, and the Ketu is the opal or the cat's eye.
Yes, and that's where we always have the eclipses.
Yeah, see, I find that really interesting how you the eclipse falls into this. Because I've even said from my experiences, I felt like polarity changed when they separated from each other.
Right, but it's bringing that three body problem into very, very sharp contrast, because you can see all of the different parts of the geometry that are now flung into gravity with each other, and how does that make any sense?
And the elliptical, I don't even know if that's the right. Is elliptical a word?
Elliptic.
The elliptics. So the moon's is about 5 degrees off from the sun. And what's really interesting is, the north and the south node, it takes 18 and a half years for them to return to their, like in your birth chart, for example, a lunar return takes 18 and a half years for it to return to its original spot. But there's this point where the moon goes out of bounds, and it'll go 5 degrees below the Tropic of Capricorn every 18 and a half years. We're in a period like that now, actually. Last January, it was at its peak, at the lowest that it goes. So the moon goes out of bounds below where the sun ever goes. So it's out of aspect of like Ra or Helios, right, which fights back that chaos, and it goes below Capricorn into the cold wintry depths where the moon is debilitated. So that's kind of interesting. Actually, it's going below the elliptic or the Tropic of Capricorn. January 16th, it'll be the lowest again. And it happens for about 3 years where it'll go below that Tropic of Capricorn every 18 and a half years. So it's just kind of an interesting thing.
I have a abstract question on something we've been discussing. I can totally relate to the idea of an archon being of a planet or an archontic force of the planet, and then but also there's this idea that there are archontic forces. Maybe they are in fragmentation, or maybe they're uh, more separate entities, but there was this Gnostic idea of archons coming from Saturn to Earth because they did not like our music and singing. And it makes me, Jin specifically, I kind of have sometimes related this archontic force to the Buddhist idea of hungry ghosts. I wonder if you might maybe elaborate on the astrological archontic and these maybe parasitic archontic forces.
Sure. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. So this is obviously partly a Matt question too, because he is the Bana Hokmah guy. But it definitely, you could say that Saturn or Shani. Well, okay, so let's start out with this. In Sanskrit, planets are called grahas. So right away, from a Buddhist perspective, that's not a good sign. A grasper, like a serpent, keeping us here, but not necessarily here as in material creation, in our consciousness. So we only can embody the pure concept, quote unquote, pure concept of the planet. But even if you read we'll just stick to my system, like we'll stick strictly to our Tarvadas or Jyotisha. We'll say, if you read the stories, the planets are very jealous, kind of like flawed, lower devas, lower gods. They are not the highest pinnacle of consciousness. Buddhism's, obviously, you know this, Ethan, but Buddhism's very concerned with consciousness and like having a quote unquote pristine consciousness. So if you are a pure concept of a force that is inhabited by the 5 maras, so lust, greed, anger, jealousy, and there's one more I'm forgetting. But yeah, the planets embody these kind of cliches or these poisons, the strongest. And so, and this is also the idea of the klipas too, right? The klipas are, people get really obsessed with them because they think it's left-hand path and it's so edgy and so awesome. And in a way, it is kind of awesome because you can conceptually understand things, conceptually relate things, but you're not supposed to take it as like, oh, I must worship these things. You're just supposed to take it as like, oh, okay, this is the way that sometimes traveling, if you want to call it that, like traveling through the Sephira of Binah, sometimes our understanding can actually be misunderstanding. Our one of the klipas of Binah is actually the occultation of things. So the darkening of things, hiding things behind, saying, oh, this is secret knowledge. Like what we were talking about this right at the beginning, like leaving the institutional frameworks. So like everything that Nick has done for the whole time that he's been doing this, when he did, like, I'm not trying to big Nick up, but I'm just saying for me, it was pivotal as well. But like when he was like NY Patriot and like, you know, doing his thing, that he's breaking the klipa of Binah, like very literally. He's saying like, this is not secret. We're taking it out of the institution. We're like, that's very aeonic to me. So I don't know if that directly responds to your question, Ethan, but definitely there are aeonic archontic qualities in every planet. I'm not saying the planets are evil. I don't think that. I'm just saying that they position themselves as having lower desires, as we were talking about before. So I think that people should try and I'm not perfect either. I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm like some pristine person. Absolutely not. If I was out pristine, I'd be like traveling the hyperspace kingdom, like surfing on my surfboard, like out of here. But the reality is like I'm here, so I have to, you know, reconcile. Like you, Ethan. Like I wasn't trying to joke because I know you surf, but that is how I liken it. It's very much like the Silver Surfer, the Quicksilver Surfer. He's out there in the universe on the aether wave on his board, and that is like sort of how we should be. But we also are in the world of form. So we have to kind of reconcile these two things, these two polarities. And that's like the perfect thing because, you know, Buddhism says that there are 10 polarities, 8 polarities outside of you and 2 within you, 1 up, 1 down. So we get to choose. And these are also related to the inner channels. And as Nick would posit, they're also related to, yes, your optic nerve. Yes, your physical body. There is a physiological way to map the tree and to map magic. I personally believe that very strongly.
I mean, some of
Sorry,
the
Nick.
Gnostics, Crowley put it in his in the Gnostic Mass. I mean, draw the eyeballs and the brain in their own work. So it's right there if you look at the people that he talks about. Thank you. Jen or anybody else, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up? Unfortunately, now since I know I have this other guest coming, I kind of want to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you, guys. I'm sorry that it turned into a little bit of the
no,
Jin
no.
show and speculative Kabbalah, but
No, I thought that was
Judith-
great, actually. No, I mean, you guys got to go back and forth. Everybody was respectful. I thought that was like really interesting just to hear each other's takes. I mean, I got something out of both of these. I thought that was great, actually. Yeah.
Magic is the dialogue, is the discourse. I think
I
we all
was-
can agree on that.
I was so happy for it. I just being able to talk to someone who can explain their reasoning for things in such great detail.
Thank you, Eros. I really appreciate that. And likewise, I respect you greatly for all your knowledge. I really do. And I think it's a mark of a great Kabbalist to be able to, as we've always talked about in the Grey Lodge, Matt has heard me say this 10 million times, but you have to be able to defend your positions. If you're going to have a Kabbalistic position, like if I say the Aeon is on path 22, I better be able to tell you, even if you had never cracked a Kabbalah book in your life, I better be able to explain that to you in a way that is understandable, discernible, and testable through your own wisdom science or your own practice of it, rather than just like say, oh, believe me. No, I don't believe in that anymore. I'm very much like I like what, I think Nick and Judith also agree, like, and Matt, obviously, if you, as a magician, you have to always say, show me.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Very good. Very good, Jen. No, I thought that was great. I really appreciate all you coming on. Sorry again about the guest, but I think this show was awesome anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, Judith, thank you so much for coming on. Please, we definitely have to get you on again.
It was my pleasure. I tell you, a spark was lit under me, and this was
It's fun
very
talking about that shit again, right? It is. It is. Yeah, yeah. You want to let everybody know about your show and stuff again?
It's basic self-awareness on a more mundane plane, but it's the loon, and I just help guide. Well, I give people tools to help themselves get in tune with their inner selves, and I also do buddy check once a month for the veterans to help them get acclimated into civilian life too.
That's awesome. That's really good. That's great stuff, Judith. Yeah, and if I'll include your include the link for your show in the bottom. Headless Giant, please, my man.
How you doing? You can find me at the Headless Giant podcast on YouTube and on now Rumble and also on X. So check me out over there. I've got shows coming up and shows that I've already done this week. So check them out.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, he's a very, very busy man. Go check out his channel. And Ethan Indigo, sir.
Thanks everyone so much, Nick, for putting this together. Hopefully we'll get to talk with Georgina in the future. Thanks you guys for the insight and inspiration. So I'm easy to find and appreciate people reaching out. And see you Sunday, Headless.
Got it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on, Ethan. I appreciate you making the time. I know it's not easy during the day for you, but that's what's up. Eros, what is going on? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. As always, you can find me on YouTube at Erosup, and you can find me on X at Eros to Ethos. No Georgina, and that was a bummer, but I still had a great time.
Oh yeah. Thank you for coming on. And Matt, my man, I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, fuck it, we ball. We can handle a panel. It's all good, even if the guest doesn't come. But anyways, you can always find me as at MattMora19. That's gonna be Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, not Rumble, Twitch, maybe some other place, I don't know. Also, our Grey Lodge, thetruegraylodge.com with a V, so true, thetruegraylodge.com, and my website, that's Kabbalah.com, KAABALAH.com. Like I said, there's the tarot thing going on, so if you're interested, just hit me up and I'll hook you up with the details. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone, for having me. It was a blast. And yeah, even though, again, we kind of switched. Again, that's the chaos, right? We managed the chaos. So that was great for everyone.
Thank you. I like that, man. That's awesome. And last but not least, Jen, please let everybody know what's up. Oh, maybe you can also plug the branch too, since he's not here.
I will. So everybody check out the branch. He has his Wednesday spaces. He's done multiple episodes on my show, Threshold Saints, which you can find, of course, at the link that Matt just dropped, the True Grey Lodge with a V plus Ultra Baby .com, as well as thresholdsaints.substack.com, which is just one of our many web portals, our kind of graffiti on the aether wave, you can call it, that we're doing. So I've just recently built that. Of course, you can find me on X and IG at Threshold Saints or at Wukong Reborn, WUKONG, dropping an episode with Joe Nally, this other character who I've had on, Azuki, who calls himself a motorcycle outlaw nationalist. He's a really interesting character. We talked about Judge Dredd and Machiavelli, and so that'll be a little different for me. And then I have 2 amazing episodes with Sochki, who is basically, well, he considers himself like the saint of the Crystal Millennium Kingdom, and he actually invented a way to use 90s computers to build your own AI, like a personal AI that is like for yourself, that is not connected to like the bigger AI. So it's very exciting time. I'm really been blessed through obviously this show in particular, but also because of Matt, Joshua, and Solar, of course. All 3 of those guys are like my homies, my brothers. And so I really appreciate it. And it's been extremely generative, and I could not imagine doing Aeonic work without them. So check them all out. Check Matt out. I'm so proud of him doing his tarot and his episode that he did at the Young Library. I'm sorry, Matt, I'm forgetting that name. But he did a thing on Young at a famous library associated with Young in the Netherlands on Greyhorn Pagan podcast.
Embassy of the Free Mind.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for jumping in and hanging out, even though we didn't have the guests. That's what's up. A lot of you were still here. Yeah, and if you got time, check it out later on, 9 o'clock. Freda RC will be talking about Enochian magic. I'm very, very excited for that. So, yeah, check it out. And, yeah, I guess until the next one, everybody be well. Later.